Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and plenty of interesting discussion to dive into today. The return to LAN is a big talking point so far this season. We are now back officially, Stage 4, Stage 5 coming up relatively soon, and then of course the World Championship. But on the amateur side, players are not necessarily convinced that they should not be allowed to play in the LAN environment, and some players especially thinking that when they're back, they're going to be frying on all cylinders. Intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I greatly appreciate it. I'm really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. On this day, we looked at earlier, it was Tommy back in Infinite Warfare. On this day 1 year later was of course aCQuRcy clutching this pretty crazy 1 versus 3 up against Team Envy right here. This is a very memorable one actually. He flies into this room right here, gets down 1, completely guns Chino off that head glitch. I have no idea how Chino didn't finish that kill to be honest, and takes down Decimate to finish off the job as well. This one, yeah, aCQuRcy was, well, once again considered the Iceman to be honest. What a year he had right here. This is LAN at his best, right? You know, scrimming across the stage. Just absolutely love to see this type of stuff. This of course from LAN a few years before that even. This is back in Advanced Warfare, I believe. X Games Austin, the gold medal match between OpTic and FaZe. And this just really shows what, well, how much of a different beast Prime T2P were. Like you can see right here, you've got Scump and Formula on one side, you've got Zuma and Slasher on the other side indeed. You know, Zuma has a crazy first blood percentage. I have no idea if that's even like possible to be true. But yeah, Slasher looking good right here, of course. But these are some of the stats, right? So this is Scump back in Advanced Warfare, like when he was the best SMG in the game, no doubt. Like it was just ridiculous the stats that he would put up with the SMG because no one else was able to do this. No one else, pretty much with the exception of Zuma, like at times in Advanced Warfare, was able to put up anywhere near the numbers that Scump was with an ASM1. It was just completely unprecedented. In Respawn he had a 1.22, S&D a 1.16, like a dominant Slayer rating as well, like doing it all with the uplinks per game and all this type of stuff as well. And well, here's formally the main assault rifle for their team, a 1.19 in Respawn, 1.05 in Search. I mean, some of the events that Formal had were pretty outrageous on that game as well, and Respawn efficiency, whatever exactly that refers to. So yeah, these guys back in the day were completely dominant, so hard to deal with indeed. Of course, they went on to win this event, and that was during the Dynasty era that it's obviously going to be so hard for any team to replicate right now. But FaZe are, well, giving them a good run for their money, I suppose, if they can continue to dominate the rest of this game and into the next title as well. Then, well, Dynasty discussions, I believe, will have to come into play. Wanted to mention this real quick, actually, because it was Methodz kind of getting roasted yesterday. Scump's been back on the stream ground, which is great to see. It was, it'd be nice to see some, like, scrims and stuff going on, but I think that OpTic, they've kind of moved away from that. And as I talked about earlier today, the whole best of 11s that a lot of pro teams now tend to play means that, you know, generally we don't see teams playing this because there's Search and Destroy thrown in there, and even for OpTic it gets kind of awkward. I think they were saying to stream the best of 11s, because even if they stream the respawns, which they wouldn't mind doing, they've then got to, like, what do they do for the Search and Destroys and the kind of the new strats they're bringing to the table? Like, if they've got to blank out the entire screen, like, are we just doing audio only or something? It gets kind of awkward, right? So they've just decided to not go down that route anymore, but at least for the near future. But as Methodz says right here, happy birthday brother Scump from a couple of days ago. But there's a pretty funny clip that came out from Scump's stream last night. They were playing League Play, and Methodz just kind of captured some strays in the voice chat.
Hey guys, Ricky here. Obviously, we let Reese go to Empire. Now they're placing top 2. Obviously, we want to focus on things like strategy, preparation, and expertise.
Scumpy, good luck in your season. Methodz, keep warming that bench.
Thank you, thank you.
Yo, that was disrespectful as hell, yo.
Content. Can I get a Scumpy impersonation?
Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy.
Now, speaking of the Methodz side, of course, because he's now down here in the Challengers region, and it's very tough for these guys, because they've seen their pro players, like, or the pro players on their teams, like Methodz, for example, as substitute on the Toronto Ultra, and he's seen their pro team go to LAN. I'm pretty sure Methodz flew to the LAN as well, just in case they needed a substitute, which wasn't ended up being required, but it was for the Los Angeles Thieves, for example. So you've got some of these players now in the amateur scene that, of course, have played on LAN for many years, but now they've basically got no chance, because it's only the pro matches that are on LAN. Will the Challengers side ever be back on LAN? That is a big question, because if you're not in the Pro League, are there going to be any LAN events, right? Like we saw at the start of Modern Warfare, there were some LAN events. I'm pretty sure there will be at least at some point going back to LAN, but still, the vast majority of Challengers right now is done online, which obviously causes its issues, as Methodz says right here. Horrific LAN players acting as if they're excited that LAN is back, but as he says right here, I need to play on LAN this year, but it's a question whether that's going to be allowed. Like the Challengers side, even the World Championship for Challengers, if they do it the same like they did last year, year, like the champs, challengers champs or whatever. Is that going to be on LAN? Like, maybe not. Is it too much to organize? And maybe it is. Does the CDL want to go down that route when they can just do it online? And generally, the best players will be spotted anyway, but it's still not exactly the ideal situation, especially for some of the veteran players on LAN that are now down there in the amateur side and in the challenger side that would love to be back in that environment. And one of those players, of course, is Douglas Censor Martin. Anaman Pasella says right here a couple of days ago, the old school 2Ks, 5Ks, eventual open brackets were an absolute grind. The players saw how they could progress, and players at all levels got better as a result. Competition was intense from top to bottom. Yeah, the old 2Ks, 5Ks and stuff that we used to have back in the day. The open bracket to the majors, meaning that any team can actually arrive, get through the open, get into pools with the best teams, and well, it showed that everyone can actually make it, right? Like every single event back in the day, the MLG times, there was the massive open bracket of like 160 teams. 4 teams would get out of it, and they would go into pools with all the pro teams to get that opportunity to play. At the time, Doug was largely on some of the pro teams, but even if not, nowadays, like, you can actually fight your way through that open bracket, get into the groups, and play with the best teams in a LAN environment, even if you are one of the complete outside shot, effectively. But nowadays, with the CDL coming into effect, that's not really the case, and Censor has a few words to say the fact that if he was to go back on LAN, he's very confident he would fry the competition.
I know if you put me on LAN, I will laugh at a lot of these players in challengers. Like, I'm confident saying that. Like, you can clip it and try to use it against me and make me look like an ass, but like, I'll say this with confidence. Like, I know for sure if I take this freaking controller here and I go to a local area network and I'm setting up my, I'm going to be very excited to play, and I'm going to be very prepared to play. And I've been through it so many times. I've played on so many LANs, and it's like I wouldn't be surprised at all if I was going nuts and like just having a good time, and people would be like, wow, Doug, you're killing it. Look at you, man. Like,
this has been some of the key discussion from GodRx, as you can see right here. Pros get to play on LAN this weekend. This is as he tweeted out right before the start of the Stage 4 Major. Well, sucks for them. I get to play the open event online while being in the absolute pit, says GodRx. Of course, I use GodRx another one in an interesting spot, right? He was such a great player for a time on the Minnesota Rokkr last year. Didn't get his opportunity, really kind of fell apart towards the end of the season when they went on that massive loss streak. Didn't get his opportunity this year in the Pro League, and is, well, now, of course, in a tough spot as a number of those other players are. What do you think about Doug Censor Martin? If he comes back on LAN ever, will he get the job done? We talked a couple of times this season where Doug was maybe in discussion for getting onto a pro team, where things went a little bit differently. It didn't happen in the end, and well, who knows when we'll get to see him next back on LAN. But honestly, going to LAN, we did see some players like seem somewhat better, right? Maybe not the SMG players so much, but still, who knows? Maybe Doug can put on a show. I think he's definitely got the confidence within himself. That's never been a problem with Doug Censor Martin, no doubt about it. One of the things about LANs, though, this is maybe the concern about actually having like amateur LANs and challengers LANs that the CDL are going to put on. Is this from Huskers? I miss LANs. The best part about competing professionally in various games is always hanging out with the other players at the events before and after the tourneys, hoping that one day Activision can give us some Warzone LANs. Best scenario would be a huge Warzone LAN when they have CDL LANs. It would be great for both game modes and viewership. So sounds pretty cool. At the same time, like if the CDL are going to focus on this, if I'm the CDL or if I'm Activision, let's just say, am I really focusing on challengers LANs over trying to get a Warzone LAN going that could be absolutely popping? Like, that's probably where my focus is going to lie, right? So I might be not to be thinking so much, yeah, okay, I'm going to try and get the CDL back to LAN fully for at least all the majors at the very least, but then after that, am I going to get some Warzone LANs in? Is that going to be the focus? Is the focus going to be having like the online matches that we currently have for the group play still online for next season, whereas maybe you can put some of the more LAN focus into Warzone stuff and leave challenges on the wayside? That is obviously a concern, I think, for a lot of our players right now, that, okay, Warzone could have some great effects for the CDL in terms of bringing new players in, or at least bringing new fans in, right, if they actually combine the two in a better way, but it may be taking some focus away from Activision side, and probably something that's maybe Censor's somewhat concerned about right here with wanting to go back to LAN. But Parasite isn't necessarily so convinced that Censor's going to fry in a LAN environment. This I thought was well, he tweeted out right here, the map in question. This is some Pro 8s that kind of come down, kind of a Pro Amateur 8. aBeZy and Assault are in here, you got Gunless, you got Morg Succeed, Censor, of course, Rambi, Bambi, and well, Parasite drops 54 in 20, dominating the Garrison Hardpoint. Censor on the other side of things, not having the prettiest time in the world, but holding his own, no doubt. 53 seconds in the hill. OBJ Censor striking again without remorse. And this is some discussion from the pro side of things, right? Because as Clay says, what Harrison said in this article is true. Gotta translate it or listen to answers. You realize that the only reason to play CS is a huge audience in front of you. Everything for this moment is to feel the energy of hundreds of people, he says. And well, Clay says straight up same, right? Like he's can't wait to get fans back in this LAN environment, and that there's so much to say on this. I really hope that we can get back to that point. We talked about it earlier today, the possibility that may be happening in the near future. I certainly hope that's the case for Champs and maybe for, well, Stage 5 as well, at the very least, with any luck. Bro says this a while ago, I thought I'd just mention it now because it's kind of funny, right? The CDL, how many teams would you like to see next season? Obviously, 12 expansion teams would be insanity, but I put it in there anyway. I'd just like to see some expansion, right? I think we've got so much talent in the amateur side, so much more potential and so many great matchups that could happen if expansion comes into play. I think most people would just like to see it go up to 16. Whether that will happen, I don't really know. I wonder if any of the current teams we have are going to change ownership hands, which are maybe something that is being considered right now. At least there's been some discussion about it to my understanding. But I think it would be a massive W for all involved in the CDL itself. But well, we still haven't had any news about whether that is going to be the case as of yet. Just wanted to finish off with this pretty crazy clip from Shotzzy, right? Because look, Doug talks about, yeah, he's going to go back to LAN, he's going to fry. I'm pretty sure he's talked before that if he had the right team around him, he believes he could take on Simp and aBeZy and Shotzzy and these type of players. But well, Shotzzy may be proving that his movement is something a little bit different. This is just a completely ridiculous clip. I mean, just the way he finishes around the map, it honestly looks like he's just taking the mick out of his opposition, which he kind of is to a degree, but he does this in the Pro League as well. He just such a hard guy to deal with. I mean, like, he just bodying people left, right, and centre here inside checkmate on the plane. Certainly not somebody you want to have to deal with. I don't know how you even call this guy out. Like, where do you say he is at all times? So tough to deal with. I guess I'll play this on the full screen to finish off the video. But tweeting your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really upset that you should work on and you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and have grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you guys as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
I'm leaving him, dude. I'll cut the rest off now. Oh my gosh.